Hey guys, Hercules, just going to do a quick rundown of episode 7 of The Last of Us while we hit the elliptical. So, let's do it. Alright guys, so just jumping into the episode, it was really cool to kind of have this flashback seated in this otherwise kind of like tense but sort of stationary moment with Joel and Ellie, and to see it all as kind of this, split second flashback for her, but 30 minutes for us. And just seeing her growing up in Fedra, like what that's like for a kid, just really interesting, still dealing with the same old crap that you deal with in high school, right? Bullies and wanting to just zone out to your music, worried about your best friend, thinking about your future, like what paths are before you. Just, they hit all those key notes before Ellie ends up meeting back up with Riley. And they sneak out, right? And I love that sequence across the rooftops, just really evoked, some more video game play. And I really, really like that. I will say, this was a unique episode for me because I played the whole first game, so I've known what to expect, but I didn't play the DLC. So, and I still haven't. So I'm looking forward to kind of doing a flip here and seeing how the game is and the interpretation of that once I get through it. But let me know what you thought of the DLC. Throw it in the comments below. No spoilers though. But, then just kind of that reveal, the tension that's there throughout, right? Riley's a Firefly. Ellie is kind of looking to Fedra for kind of her future goals. And then how that unfolds at the mall. I just love it. I got heavy Stranger Things vibes all throughout. Loved all the Easter eggs and the elation, the pure innocent joy out of Ellie with the escalator was just super awesome. I love that. But then as they're going through and just that flirty playfulness, and all of a sudden you start to see like this is more than just a night out. This is kind of like a first date, right? Just so sweet and innocent. Photo booth, carousel, the comment about the lingerie at Victoria's Secret, just all of it hitting all those notes. I really love that. And just the scene or the atmosphere itself. The way that they staged the mall and just kind of set up the way it looked so desolate, but it really looked like people just, the world ended. And I love Ellie's lines about how people needed shoes, but they didn't need soap. It just shows you those priority shifts. Or of course, we get our second pun book as well, and how the girls don't know what a screenshot is. So just some great moments that hit on how similar and how different the world is for these kids. My favorite scene, of course, was them in the arcade. Freaking love that, of all the places to be in the apocalypse, that's where I would totally dig. So, and just have a Mortal Kombat kind of be that thread throughout, how we see that later, or rather previously in episode 2, but later in Ellie's life, when she and Joel go in that gas station and she sees an old Mortal Kombat machine. So, I just loved how all that played out. I thought it was beautiful, really. And mirroring it with the Bill and Frank episode. Bill and Frank episode was great in its own right. But this episode was wonderful to kind of show the innocent Shakespearean tragic side of love. Love that can only hope to be love, right? It never got to blossom. And so I thought that was really tragic, but really beautiful. It's like the other side of the coin in a lot of ways with this episode. Obviously building up to the kiss with Riley and Ellie, and just this pure, sweet moment that, I felt like they did a really good job building to that. Felt very natural. But then of course, some infected bursts in, just kind of tears the whole thing apart. And then Ellie's response being so visceral and violent, which really foreshadows kind of who she is, and mixing that against Riley, who is just really somber and almost accepting of her fate. I thought all of that was wonderful, how it played out. I will say my only critique of this episode was it felt like it ended kind of abruptly. I would have loved to see a little bit more in terms of how that change happens for Riley, but not for Ellie. I thought a really good way to kind of set up and mirror the scene later with Ellie and Sam would have been if Riley and Ellie fall asleep. They wake up, Riley attacks Ellie. She doesn't know why Riley has changed, but she hasn't. They scuffle, maybe Riley gets impaled or something, accidentally dies. And then that just, foreshadows, but also harkens back to what will happen between her and Sam. But I felt like a scene like that would also then make sense, that maybe Ellie is just distraught and despondent, just kind of lays there by her friend who's now passed away until Marlene shows up, expecting to find Riley, but finds Ellie bitten but uninfected. It just would have connected to the dots to why Ellie is then chained up in the first episode. So I felt like that was the only thing missing. From a storytelling standpoint, it felt like this episode could have easily used another 10 minutes. And comparing it again to the Bill and Frank episode, that episode was an hour and 16 minutes. This was 58. I think with 18 more minutes, could have easily told the same breadth of story, shored it up in the same kind of complete ways as we got in that episode. And also maybe giving us a little bit more with Ellie and Joel, fast forwarding to the future and that struggle for Joel to kind of mend and Ellie to heal him. But nevertheless, hit those notes wonderfully still. Really helped give us a lot more backstory for Ellie. And oh man, with only 2 episodes to go, I'm pretty eager for next week. It was the freakiest part of the game. What's coming next week for sure to me. And then just riding into the end with Salt Lake City. It's gonna be a ride, but it's gonna be awesome, no doubt. All right, guys, thanks for running down episode 7 with me. Tomorrow, we're also gonna be running down Mandalorian episode 1, right? Pedro Pascal all over the place, yo. So catch that tomorrow, and next week we'll obviously be running down episode 8 as we kind of get to the final climax here of The Last of Us. But until next time, high five, subscribe. Oh yeah. Hercules.